what's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about things that Canadians want the rest of us to know about Canada. Today, I want to give Canadians the chance to say whatever it is that needs to be said about Canada. Whatever it is that the rest of us need to know about Canada or clear up any misconceptions about Canada. And to do that, I want to take a look at this Reddit discussion where somebody asked, Canadians, what is something you want the rest of us to know about Canada and Canadians? I think it's strange how most US Americans don't know much about Canada. Yes, definitely, absolutely. That's literally like one of the main reasons for the existence of this channel, because I thought that was strange as well. Why don't I know anything about Canada? I'm American. I didn't know anything about Canada. I'm slowly learning. I'm getting there. Most Americans don't know anything about Canada, and we have all these preconceived notions and ideas and stereotypes, or we just don't have any thoughts at all about it. It's weird. It's weird. Yet Canada seems to know about the United States, right? It's like Americans don't care about non-American things. It's a little weird, a little self-centered of us. Anyway, I'd like to even the playing field, because honestly, while I could talk about several different cultures, languages, countries, Canada is not one of them. So I'll open myself up for criticism by displaying my ignorance here, is what I think of when I think of Canada. So this is, I like that an American is asking this question, because I'm really curious about this too. What Canadians want the rest of the world, and maybe particularly Americans, to know about Canada. Now, when Americans think of Canada, we think of what? The North? Cold? Hockey? Maple Leafs? Yeah. Maple syrup? Yes. Mounties? Poutine? This is a perfect list. Alanis Morissette? That's like a singer, I think. Alan Thicke? I don't know. Russell Peters? I don't know. Rush? I learned about Rush. Very good Canadian band. Tim Hortons? I actually don't think Americans know about Tim Hortons at all, actually. I've asked. Americans don't know about Tim Hortons, actually. Celine Dion? Bryan Adams? I don't really know. Beer? Saying A. The Canadian flag? Oh, Canada? Yeah, Quebec, French food. Yeah. That's a good little list. Yeah, so Canadians, step up and tell us something about Canada. Yes, please. So we're going to take a look at some of the top comments from Canadians who have generously answered this question about what the heck we need to know. What do we need to know about Canada? Starting with, if two Canadians bump into each other in a crowd or get into each other's way, they both apologize. It's considered polite. This is actually really important information for Americans, especially Americans if they're going to visit Canada ever. This is different. Believe it or not, this is very different behavior than in America. If two Americans bump into each other in a crowd, they might say, "Excuse me." They might just be like, "Oh, whoa, whoops." We're very begrudging to say sorry or apologize. We're very reluctant to do that. I don't know why. It's like we don't want to admit we're wrong. Maybe we don't want to get sued, because everyone's just getting sued in America. In Canada, both apologize. See, in America, one might apologize. That's happened to me if I'm trying to be polite, do my part, and we bump each other, and I'm like, excuse me, or actually, sorry, which is probably kind of rare. I'd probably say excuse me, and that'd be the end of it. If I did say sorry, the other person probably won't, and then I'm just left like, oh, great, now they think it was my fault, and I don't know. But in Canada, you both do it. It's polite. I really like that. I actually really admire that. Also, Canadians apologize if they bump into inanimate objects. It's an involuntary reaction to bumping. I've heard this. Is this a joke, or have Canadians actually bumped into the vacuum cleaner? Been like, sorry, whoa, excuse me. If we don't apologize, we'll at least say whoops. Yeah, okay, Americans can at least do that. We can at least say whoops. We can do that. All right, what else? That's funny. That's one of the most important things we need to know about Canada. Obviously, this isn't representative of all Canadians' thoughts and all that, but I do think that's a good one. On a deeper level, it says something about Canadian culture. I think there's just a little more mutual respect for people and society. Whereas in America, we're a bit more selfish in a way. Anyway, maybe I'm looking too deep into that. Um, we burned down your White House once. It's just a threat, and we'll do it again if we have to. Is this a threat? Why am I even asking that? It is clearly a threat. We burned down your White House once. I feel like I learned about that in a video that I did a long time ago. That was a while ago now. I never learned about this in American history class, in our history class. I don't think we like to talk about this. We burned down your White House. We'll do it again if we have to. Need a match. Hey, wait a minute. Wow. Okay. Let's keep going. That's some history thing where technically Canadians were part of burning down the White House or something. But we'll let that go. We'll let that go. That's funny. What are some other things that Canadians want the rest of us to know about Canada? Canada was French until 1759. The British, afraid of what was going to happen to the 13 colonies, defeated the French. However, for whatever reason, the French were never assimilated culturally. It's a key moment in history, right? It formed French Canada, right? Most Americans at least know the phrase, like French Canadian, and were aware that there are French-speaking parts of Canada. Not every American understands, like, that there's Quebec, like an entire province. Americans don't even know the Canadian provinces, mostly, believe it or not. Or that there's Quebec and that it's, like, the language is French. Like, if you go there, like, people are going to speak French. Like, that's not necessarily specifically what Americans understand. But most Americans know there's some French in Canada, and that's about it. French Canadians, known as Quebecois, yeah, Americans don't know that word, were to some degree partners in the formation of Canada. Since then, the country has had a sense of balance between French and English. Yeah, I don't think most Americans know that, like, there's French on the stuff in Canada. Like, on the bags of potato chips, there's, like, the English and the French. Most Americans actually don't know that French is printed on stuff. That'd be a shock. So that is a good one. That is a good one. What else do we have here? In elementary school, we're taught the melting pot is evil? What is this? That it's a form of ethnic cleansing. That people must give up millennia of cultures, traditions, histories, and languages to live in a thriving economy. We don't employ the melting pot. Interesting. So in America, we're always taught that, America is the melting pot. All these different cultures and backgrounds that have traveled here to create our history and our people, and we've all melted together. And Canada, if this is true that Canadians are taught this, I do understand what's being said here, I think. It's that Canada has lots of different cultures and diversity, but the point isn't for everyone to, like, transform into one super Canadian culture. Like, Canada is kind of defined by being made up of a bunch of cultures that keep their cultures and their traditions of where they are from, but they're all living in Canada and share that sort of mutual bond of being Canadian. But it's not like the same as in America, where it's like everyone should conform to being American, or you're weird, or you stick out. Like, that is a bad philosophy to have, which I think is prevalent in America. I like this, actually. This was strange for me to read at first. But this is actually a really interesting comment. That in Canada, like, everyone is Canadian, and proud Canadians, but also proud of whatever culture or background you come from, whether that be recently or if you're like an Indigenous Canadian or whatever it may be, or if you're French Canadian or English Canadian, whatever it might be. I like that. I like that. That makes sense to me. This right here, this is a defining element of our national identity. Wow. I live in a university with a big population of Middle Eastern, Asian immigrants. We get along fine. Yeah, interesting. I think most Americans most Americans do not know that there's a large uh, Asian population in Canada, right? As far as I remember. Yeah, and a lot of Americans really have no idea how diverse Canada is. And there's been a lot of immigration to Canada because it's a great place to live. And the world is finding that out. The world knows that. Yeah, that's a really interesting one that I think is huge, really huge, and most people, most Americans anyway, don't know that. I think that's a great one, actually. I like that. What else do we have here? Canada has the best snipers in the world. Again, is this a threat? A Canadian holds the world record for longest confirmed kill at 2,430 meters? 1.5 miles. 2,400 meters. You get sniped from over a mile away? What? I'm like, I feel like stressed out right now. Like, wait, is there a sniper a mile and a half away from me? Hopefully they're not Canadian, or they might just land it. Holy cow, all joking aside, that's a fun fact. Kind of a scary fact. Wow. Again with the threats. Exactly. What? I don't know about you guys. I think we've seriously underestimated the need for force on the north border. I tell you, burning down the White House, sniping people from a mile and a half. Thank goodness Canada and America are allies. Thank goodness. What are some other things Canadians want the rest of us to know, other than us Americans? We need to be in our best behavior. We need to know that stuff that you Americans call Canadian bacon is not Canadian. Never has been. Canadians would call it ham. Just marketing, another marketing job. Okay, I have been confused by the Canadian bacon term. Here's the honest truth. Even though this is an American term that we created, Canadian bacon, most Americans, like, we don't have Canadian bacon we don't say that word very often, like to each other or at breakfast or like, I want the Canadian bacon. It's just not a commonly used word at all. I would actually think a lot of Americans might not even know it. I've heard of it, Canadian bacon. I'm not even sure what it is. It's not popular in America. I don't know where this came from. Or this shouldn't be a big thing, is what I'm saying, because Americans don't say this very much. But I see how it's weird to Canadians. Like, if there was American bacon, if Canadians had American bacon, and it was ham or whatever, like a chicken breast, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, that is, we didn't sign off on that. That's funny. All right, let's look at a couple more things that Canadians want the rest of us to know about Canada. The Canadian identity is often defined in terms of how we are not American. Oh my, really? I've heard this both ways. I've heard this both ways now. I think a lot of Canadians would define the Canadian identity as being Canadian, Canadian things that represent Canada. Not in terms of like Canada's relationship or like comparing Canada to America or anything. But this is saying the opposite. This is saying Canadian identity is defined by how Canada is not American, and they find this petty and comforting. I'm confused about this now. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you think about this. I would think Canadians would just be like, Canada is Canada, and we're defined by our history and our culture. But I also could easily see some Canadians being like, No, no, no. We are proud that we're not America. We are Canada. We have similarities, but we're Canada. We do things differently, and in many ways a better way. I could see it going both those ways. Huh. It's because our culture is really similar, yet we don't have to be American to get it, because the culture itself is fantastic. And we don't go bankrupt when we're sick. Okay, I don't have to sit here and listen to Canadians remind me how bad our healthcare is. Yeah, there's a good one. How Canadian healthcare is not American healthcare is a great thing. But you don't have to define it like that. You can just be like, it's Canadian healthcare and it's great. Yeah, okay. What else do we have here? Things Canadians want us to know about Canada is that, oh, this is an American saying, I love Canada. I love Canadians. Just had to say it. I'm a trucker down here heading up to Canada for a few days, and it's like night and day when interacting with Canadian truckers. Interesting. Interesting. So literally this trucker is like sees a real difference when interacting with Canadian truckers, like they're more polite or what have you, or just nicer to be around compared to Americans. Interesting. Here's some random things about what Canadians want the rest of us to know. Most of us Canadians can't understand the healthcare debates in the USA. Yeah, I could. I mean, here's the thing, it's not really a debate in the USA. Most Americans would agree that American healthcare system is messed up and our insurance system, our health insurance system is really messed up and weird and not not a very good way to do things. And it opens up the possibilities of not being covered for certain procedures and healthcare benefits, and you have to worry about getting the insurance and paying your premium every month, and co-pays and coverage and all this stuff. And healthcare in America is definitely like a corporation, a business, and that's not a good feeling. So I understand why Canadians are confused, like why Americans are okay with that, but Americans really we're not happy about it. I guess we're content and we know it's not going to change and we're just like it's the way it is. But it's not really a debate. Like no one's really saying, "Hey, we couldn't do any better. Our healthcare system is perfect." I don't think any Americans are really saying that. But we're also not talking enough about trying to change it or turn it into some kind of healthcare that's paid by taxes or some kind of system like that. So it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, that's a good point. Hockey is a huge sport in Canada. It compares to the NFL in the USA. That's crazy. That's because I never think about hockey, ever. And to think that hockey is like football here in America, that is huge. Hockey is a much better and deeper game. Okay, okay. Once you get to know it. Okay, now they're just making fun of our American sports too. Okay. Maybe hockey is better. Maybe it is good. I don't really watch it. It is cool. Most of us Canadians have never seen a grizzly bear, never seen a polar bear or moose in real life. Really? I'm kind of disappointed. This shocks me. This would shock most Americans. We think grizzly bears, polar bears, moose are like walking up and down the street. I've seen videos of moose in Canada doing weird things in people's backyards. So it does happen in some parts of Canada, but I think we over exaggerate it as Americans. I think that's the point. Most people I know in Canada will talk badly about Americans. Wow, but in reality, it is the US government most people are not happy with here. Canadians are not happy with the US government. Well, join the club. Americans aren't happy either. And at this point, it truly, and I think a lot of Americans would agree with this right now in 2024, it truly feels like trying to pick the best of the worst for our politicians and in our government. You'd love to be in a situation where it's really hard to choose who is your president or your congressman or senator because the choices are just so great and you can't decide. That's not how it is. It's like, who's gonna do the least damage to us? Find that person. All right, perfect. Stick them in there. Who's not gonna drive us into the ground? And that's really terrifying for a lot of Americans. And Americans aren't happy with the U.S. government. Canadians aren't happy with the U.S. government. That's interesting. Does that affect you in some kind of meaningful way? Maybe I don't understand where or do Canadians just simply get annoyed watching the circus that happens over here sometimes? Most people are not happy with here. Americans tend to be just like us Canadians when you meet them in person. Um, the way I see it personally is that USA and Canada are like brothers. We might have our disagreements, and at times might even dislike each other, but when it comes down to it, we're blood and we love each other. I think that's a great spot to leave off on. I like that. I sure hope, I don't think we ever hate each other, but sure, we probably do have disagreements in how to do certain things, and we do certain things better and worse than each other. And I like that analogy. But at the end of the day, we're brothers or sisters and getting along and trying to make it in this crazy world we live in. It's all we're trying to do. But anyway, I didn't mean to get too philosophical here at the end. I gotta say, that was quite enjoyable hearing from Canadians what Canadians think are some of the most important things people need to know and understand about Canada. I really enjoyed learning about that. That was pretty eye-opening. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your opinion on things you think the rest of us, we need to know about Canada. That'd be very interesting. That'd be fantastic to learn more about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and Canadian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.